it's Michelle again at Michelle's Southern Home Cooking. How you doing? Guess what I'm doing tonight? This is a weeknight supper. Out of the blue, I decided to fry some chicken. So there's only 2 of us at home now, so I bought 2 chicken breasts, and to let them help cook a lot quicker, I cut them in half. Okay? All I did was take the chicken breast, I cleaned them in water, put them on my cutting board, and so now I have 4 pieces of chicken breast, which are 2 chicken breasts just split slam in 2, okay? And in this bag, I put 2 cups of flour, about a teaspoon and a half of salt, a teaspoon and a half of black pepper, and a few other seasonings that you don't have to put in there. I put some roasted garlic, granulated, just a sprinkle of onion powder to give it a little something, and whatever you like, you can put in here. Just don't put any green herbs or anything like that, because when they fry, they're going to burn, okay? And taste your flour before you put anything in it, and just give it a little taste and say, is that seasoned good? Is it not salty enough? Because you can always add more. That's my motto. You can always add more. It's just like a good hairdresser knows. You can always cut more, but you can't glue it back on. So, start off with a little bit. If it needs a little bit more seasoning, add it to your taste, because you're cooking for you, honey. You're not cooking for me. Okay? But I'm cooking tonight for my husband, and I've been frying him chicken for over 32 years now. And that's how I hooked him, he said. So anyway, what we have here is a heavy skillet with vegetable oil, and you can use peanut oil too. That actually has a higher flash point, but vegetable oil is all purpose. And what you want to get it up to is about 375, okay? And the key to frying is having it hot enough to where it will lock in the juices and your chicken will be juicy. If you have it too cold, the fat will go into your fried chicken and you'll have greasy fried chicken. If you have it too hot, it's going to burn before you get it done. All right, so number 1, we've got clean chicken in seasoned flour, and we put it to the side. Then we concentrate on our oil. And you cannot do anything else when you're starting to fry stuff, especially if you're a beginner, because if you take your mind off of it, something's going to happen, okay? And if you've got anybody in the house besides you, and really this is just a good practice, turn your handles toward the inside, because if somebody hits that handle with this hot grease, you're going to the emergency room, and it's not going to be fun at all. So, take this in all seriousness. But I've just got a thermometer here, same candy thermometer I use to make my hard rock candy and fudge and stuff like that. And you want to make sure, I turn it on up to almost high. I don't put it on the high setting, but next to the 1. And I get it right at 375. Because what's going to happen when you take that cold chicken and put it in that oil? It's going to reduce the temperature. So you've got to where it's going to drop down, but then you want to get it back. But you don't want to get it any higher, because you want it to fry probably for a good 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how thick your chicken is. And it kind of floats when it's done. So we're getting ready to put this in there. For the faint of heart, I will not show you my chicken livers, but I have bought a few chicken livers, and that comes in a little container, and I put them in a strainer and rinse them off, and then just let them sit over a bowl straining. And after I get these about done, I will take the livers and shake them in the same flour. Now, while I'm waiting for this to come up just a few more degrees, I'm going to show you something. I keep one hand, when I'm battering, I touch the flour in the chicken with one hand, and I keep my other hand free to use with a fork, okay? And then after you get it all in there, you're going to wash your hands anyway. Of course, you washed them to start with before you mess with all this stuff. That goes without saying. But again, you're at your house cooking for you. You're not cooking at a restaurant or anything like that. But it's still a good thing to have proper hygiene, because you can cross-contaminate with chicken. And that's a good thing. All right, now, I don't know if you can see this, but I have shook off the excess of the flour. And when I put that in there, can you hear that? Listen, that is music to my southern ears. It's called a slow fry. It's bubbling up all around it, okay? And it's creating a good crust. That's what creates it. And you know, I can buy chicken from just about everywhere. And Randy likes chicken wings a lot. We have a couple of local places that he likes better than others. But the best chicken, he says, is home fried. So that makes my heart feel good, or either he's just telling me that, want me to fry him some. Who knows? But it's worked for almost 32 years. I got a trip to Hawaii out of it one year, I sure did, and that was a surprise. He's a good man. But at any rate, I'm going to turn this down to, mine is numbered from 1 to 9. I started out on 8, now I'm going to back it down to 6. Okay, and that's probably just a little bit more than medium. You know, medium high I would say would be 7. But you want to keep up a crisp or a vigorous fry, but yet you don't want it. If you lift it up after you put it in there, and you're starting to see it already turn brown, it's too hot. Back it off. And if it's really too hot, if you're starting to see any kind of black, take the pan off the heat to another burner and just let it rest, okay? Now, the little flecks of flour that fall off and they go to the bottom, they will burn. That's why you shake the excess off. You don't want a lot of loose flour that is frying in this oil. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over, and it's already a pretty light brown on one side. I liken it to a sear. When people are searing meat to lock in the juices, that's exactly what this is doing. It's creating a crust or a sear with frying. And that moisture stays in there, and it just kind of bastes itself, you know, getting all the goodness to stay in. And what I do when I am frying a good amount, I have what's called a splatter guard. Back in the day, we didn't have one of those, but this keeps the splatter from going everywhere. And all I'm going to do now is fry this until it's done to the bone, okay? And what happens is when I turn it, and I'm going to show you in a minute, when you turn it, it's going to bubble and fry loud again, okay? When you start turning it and it doesn't make that, you know, escalation in sound and frying, it's getting done. You've about cooked it, done. And typically about 12 to 15 minutes frying at an even temperature. And the perfect frying temperature is around 375. And if you want to use something that is thermostat controlled, you can use what your mama and grandma might have used, an electric frying pan, because it has one of those temperature dials, and it works extremely well at maintaining a constant level of even heat. Now, I don't have one, but I prefer to have a couple of nice pans that are multi-use. But, you know, and you can always use what's called a fry daddy. But listen, I just turned that, and it went all up in volume. Okay. You never want to put any more than halfway full the top wise of oil as well, because what will happen is you'll end up boiling the oil over, and then you'll have a fire. So always make sure you've got, especially when you're frying, but anytime you're cooking, you should always have a fire extinguisher handy, just in case, okay? So, I'm a nurse. I want to prepare for everything. You know how that goes. If you burn yourself, what do? You run your finger under the cold water. Don't put butter on it. Why? Because my nursing teacher said not to. I'm just messing. But seriously though, just pay attention to what you're doing and concentrate on one thing at a time, and you're going to be okay. All right. I will put 1 piece of chicken liver in here. Now, I will say this. If you're going to fry chicken livers, they spatter terribly. So get your chicken cooked first, okay? But see, I just shook it up in here. And I pick up with my one hand, you know, and it is battered. If I don't like the way it looks, I'll put it back in the flour and dredge it a little bit with that left hand until it looks like it's totally coated. This is a dry type coating, just flour and seasoning, okay? And I use actually self-rising flour. You can use self-rising or plain flour. It doesn't matter. I just tend to use the self-rising the least. I make that with some homemade cakes that call for that, or some quick breads. But I use the all-purpose flour more. So whatever one you got more of, you can use that. But it makes no never mind. But see, I've got my splatter guard up. It also holds the heat in, but allows the moisture to rise. And you'll see steam coming up through it, so you don't want to hold your hand over there much, okay? And it's frying lovely. Sometimes you got to take it on down. I'm going to take it down to about 5. If you start seeing little black flecks, because you don't want it to burn before it gets done. Now, cooking really good. Can you hear that? It's still sizzling when I'm turning it over, so it's not done yet. So to just recap, you've got a heavy frying pan, and if you've got cast iron, use it. I just don't have it. And with this glass cooking top, one time I did have one, and I dropped one and it cracked it. It still works, but you know, it's just not conducive. One day I might get a gas stove, but I didn't grow up with one, so I've always had electric, and I thought this stove was awesome to be able to clean the solid top, especially if something boiled over, and it is, but it is not conducive to heavy pots, because it is glass and it will break. But anyway, you don't have to have this thermometer. Just listen to what I say. Heat up the oil on medium-high first. You want to put the battered piece of chicken in to where it's frying well, but it's not burning, okay? Frying chicken. Now later on, I've got some pork chops I'm going to fry this with too, so I'm going to reuse this oil. You can reuse the oil as long as you don't burn it. And I strain it in a general strainer. But I have this down to medium heat now, and it's frying on. You hear that? That's not ready yet. Actually, dark meat takes a little bit longer to cook. And if you ever want to check it, you take a piece out, and if you'll take the knife and cut it by the bone, if there's any blood or redness by the bone, it's not done. Put it back in, okay? We've gone probably about 10 minutes in this oil. So probably about 5 more minutes it'll be ready. And some mashed potatoes with gravy is really good with this, and garden peas, and just some dinner rolls that you can heat up and put some butter in. That's pretty good. When I was a little girl, we always had brown and serve rolls. We'd put them in the oven and put a pat of butter on top of them and brown and serve rolls. And that was what we had every Sunday, whether we were having roast, fried chicken, or pork chops, or whatever we had. And but anyway, while I'm talking about it, I am giving away one of these when we reach 500 subscribers, my spiffy dippy Southern cooking apron. Now this is keeping me from getting white flour all over my outfit, because you're going to get white flour on you when you're using it, okay? So definitely like my channel or like this video, but the important thing is to hit that red subscribe button at the bottom. And if you need this recipe, if you didn't write it down from me talking, you can always hit, there's a little down arrow button on the right of the video. Right underneath the screen, it's just a line with a little down arrow. If you'll click that, I'll post the ingredients and any pertinent information up there, okay? So, if you want a happy tummy or a happy hubby, you fry them something. But anyway, I think we're about there. I just turned it and it didn't make much of a fuss. Uh-oh, that one might. And some pieces get done faster than others, and it's okay to go ahead and take them up. But it's going to be hot, so I have a chicken snatcher sometimes. If I'm cooking a whole chicken and the wings get done faster than the rest of it, and I'll put up the wings, sometimes some roving hands will be up there and want to snatch that chicken. And I just have to warm them. It's hot. But I would fry a whole chicken for lunch. And it was just the three of us, me, my husband, and my daughter. And somehow that chicken would disappear by supper time. It sure would. So, and it won't from me and Catherine. So this is a way to a man's heart is definitely fried chicken. Here in this house anyway. And it's good weather to fry chicken. It's been kind of raw and ugly today. I told my girlfriend Nikki, I said, I need some sunshine. And I think we're supposed to get some soon. Alright, now I stand that up and that's not going to fit on top of it. But I'm going to go ahead and take this piece up right here. And I'm just putting it on some paper towels. Some people use a rack to put it on. But see how that's nice and golden brown? And we're just going to keep on cooking until it's done. And if it starts getting a little too brown, take it down in temperature. There ain't nothing wrong with going below medium. You know, the chicken, there's less of a temperature variant to pull the temperature down. So you don't want it to keep going up, up, up. Okay, I think we've got this done. So I'm put this on here. And this is done. You hear how it's not sizzling much anymore when I'm messing with it. Okay? And now I'm going to put that piece of chicken liver. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, like a friend, get you a cover, get you a lid to fry them chicken livers. Because they pop like nobody's business. And I got to love this man to do this because I have old injuries. But anyway, it's good. I love fried chicken livers myself. Woo, do you hear it? Pop, pop, pop. But these are thin. They don't have any bone. And they cook in about 2 or 3 minutes, really. It doesn't take them long. And they'll shrivel up. They'll be expanded and big. And that grease, what it does, the hot oil, it cooks it and removes the moisture. You see the moisture going up in the steam. See if I can cook one for you and show you. And right now,